the wrong goddamn rec room, didn't you, you bastard?
Hello, this is Michael Gross, joining Zak and Corey, my two illegitimate bastard children, on their podcast.
We thought Michael was going to cut a promo talking about how much he loves us, but illegitimate bastards?
Bastards? Wow. I can't wait for my mom to hear this.
Well, I can't wait for all y'all to hear this interview. Guaranteed one of our favorite interviews we've ever done with Michael Gross. You guys, y'all know who he is. He's America's favorite dad. Period.
And thank you all for the questions. We got to, quite a bit of them and everything, but he was so sweet. He's so nice, and really, really excited for you all to hear this interview or watch it if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're listening to it on a podcast, then go check it out on one of our YouTube pages.
Yeah, hit the subscribe button wherever you're watching us. Please continue to support the show the way you do by listening. And if you're interested, we have Patreon links in the show notes too. Patreon.com/podcastingafterdark, Patreon.com/$2 late fee. All the fun content that's on there. It's exclusive to Patreon members. It's a lot of fun. Like this interview you're about to hear with Michael Gross. So links in the show notes. Check it out. We hope this brings you as much joy as it did for us having the opportunity to interview Michael Gross.
Yeah, it was so good. So yeah, enjoy our interview with Michael Gross.
Congrats! You found $2 Late Fee, the best 80s movies podcast in the world.
We revisit our favorite 80s movies.
And sometimes 90s.
And soundtracks from our youth. And then we interview our favorite people who helped make them. All in the spirit of nostalgic positivity.
Thanks for listening.
This is wonderful. Mr. Michael Gross is here with me, Zak, and Corey. Corey, people can't get rid of us. It's always you and me crossing over different podcasts and whatnot, and we're always together.
Wouldn't have it any other way, buddy.
Likewise, my brother. And Mr. Michael Gross is here. Michael, thanks so much for being on our shows.
Thank you. Now you can't get rid of me either. It's the three of you.
That's the plan.
So there you go.
That's the plan. Yeah. For those that don't know, we met Michael a few months back at Pasadena Comic-Con. Corey and I emceed and moderated one of the largest panels ever, I believe, in the history of cinematic universe panels. It was for the Tremors reunion. I believe there were like 14 or 15 people on stage.
It was a great turnout. I was surprised that so many people behind the camera were there, and that was exciting to me. It was great because I hadn't seen some of them in many years, and so it was a great event.
I was just wondering that because the panel consisted of people in front of the camera, behind the camera. It was a who's who. Your good friend and connection, Glenn and Levi, are very responsible with kind of corralling everybody together. And Corey and I were blown away by the turnout of people that came, the turnout of people on stage, like you had mentioned. And the fact that like so many people behind the scenes and so many wonderful stories, 35 years later in the Tremors universe, did you expect that did you ever foresee that this film would have so many spin-offs and sequels and just this cult following that it has today?
No, most actors are cynics as far as that sort of thing is concerned. We think it's a one and done, right? If you sit around hoping for sequels, for magic to happen, you're lost because nobody has the secret sauce in Hollywood. No one. And one of the rules is nobody knows anything. And if they think they do, they're bullshitting you. So. So I was happy to do this. It was a great turnaround from my days on Family Ties. It literally was the first job I had out of Family Ties. So 7 years of Cosby was the top. So I called myself the most popular Caucasian father in America.
Well, I think you are now just the most popular father in America, coincidentally.
Cosby's lost some of his credibility.
A little bit.
Yeah. I say to people, I believe in sex the old-fashioned way, consensual. Uh, at any rate, so I I came right off of Family Ties, 7 years of being this very popular dad, and then I went for 7 Tremors films. Who knew? We thought it was a one-off, and it took. Frankly, frankly, it was not a big success when when it came out first run.
Right.
It was not, and it was. It was a great thrill when they came back some 5 years later to say, by golly, we're going to make another one. I was surprised as anyone could be, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But thrilled because I loved the character of Bert, and because it was not a great success. Some people know this already. Kevin Bacon has expressed this in interviews. He said, I thought we failed. I thought I failed as the name above the title. So I didn't want to have anything to do with the second one, nor the third or any of the sequels. It grew in popularity, and since, unbeknownst to us, it disappeared for a long time. We did 4 of them. We did a series that was not, I confess, not a great marriage with sci-fi. They wanted very different things than the original producers wanted. The network wanted something very different. It would be the first time producers and networks were at each other's throats.
Yeah, no.
And so after 13, I was quite happy to see it go, frankly, because it was not a great marriage. And then after a hiatus of another 10 years, bing, we came back with 5, 6, and 7. After the first one was not a great success, was not millions and millions of dollars. They said, the heck with it. We'll just produce a few little things here and there after it caught on in the video market. And then they basically said, it was the bastard child of Universal, I think, for many reasons. They never produced action figures, all that sort of stuff. I see people now at these comic conventions that are going crazy, and they've got action figures for Bert and Heather and all this other sort of stuff. And why Universal never did that, I think they just assumed it was a failure and they wanted nothing else to do with it.
Yeah, and it's a special movie that I think Zak can attest to it. And with me and my nephew, he's 10 years old. It's also an entry movie into horror movies for kids now. Like, it has this special place where you can introduce kids to like monster films through Tremors, and a little something a little scarier through Tremors.
That's a good point, because it's really a genre all of its own. It's horror, yes, but it's comedy. It's Western. It's adventure. It's a horror movie that is filmed almost entirely in daylight,
right?
Which is very unusual, and not in enclosed spaces like a haunted mansion or a deep dark forest. It's all there for you to see out in the middle of nowhere, with miles of distance and miles of scenery. So you're not in dark and closed spaces. It's really unique unto itself.
Yeah, and it also has a diverse cast, and there's no jokes like racist jokes or anything like relying on that. Like the right. Cast is diverse, but it's also a very positive image of diversity. So there's so many things that Tremors was like sort of ahead of its time, that it's more remarkable that it wasn't a huge success, but it's also understandable why it has become such a beloved cult classic.
I hadn't thought about the diversity, equity, and inclusion, but everybody had his place in that. Walter Chang, Miguel.
Right.
It was like America. There were many faces in it, and everybody had a good idea from time to time. We were, and the unlikeliest group of collaborators. First of all, everybody in the town thought Bert and Heather were completely insane. And so we were just, we were the people they kind of tolerated because we weren't hurting anybody else. But everybody came together to fight a common enemy, which to me is is the best of America and the best of humanity.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I feel like we need that more now, more so now maybe than we did 35 years ago, or equally as much as we did back then.
Cooperation. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And on a side note, Don Michael Paul was on $2 late fee a few months back. And, Don Michael Paul, very talented actor in his own right, but obviously behind the scenes is very talented. He holds Tremors like to his heart so closely. He loves that franchise and he loves what he did with the franchise. He loves working with you.
We've had a great time. I've never seen. I was saying to somebody the other day, to Jamie Kennedy, who I ran into the other day, that I hadn't seen so much energy on the set that Don Michael had. He just kept plowing ahead. First of all, the budget was not what it wanted to be. We didn't have enough shooting days, but by golly, he kept pushing. I thought he was going to. I thought he was going to have just fall down dead one day. He was working so hard and pushing so hard and keeping us all going. I really applaud his energy, his enthusiasm, his contributions. He was great. He never failed to show up with ideas and energy. It was great.
I'm wondering if, obviously people are always hoping there will be another Tremors film, a spinoff of some sort. But I was saying this to Corey offline because I saw that you're a train fanatic, and I thought, wow, why not put Tremors on a train? And
well, that's kind of interesting because I've come to know Game of Thrones George R.R. Martin, who is now a part owner of a tourist railroad headquartered in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and he has 18 miles. Yeah. George has 18 miles of track.
What?
I was a stockholder and a co-owner in that railroad, and we wound up selling it to George. That's how I met him, not through the owner, through the train community. And George was thrilled because it was the first train he didn't have to put away after Christmas. As a kid, he said he lived in a small apartment and, had his, I think it was a Lionel train or something like that, that ran in a circle and came out for Christmas. And now George is the proud owner with a couple of partners of something called Sky Railway in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And
really?
It is a tourist railroad. Yeah.
Oh.
And I had been one of the owners of that thing. We sold it to George, and that's how I came to meet George Martin, who turns out to be a real Tremors fan.
Of course.
What a nice little synchronicity coincidence. Yeah.
I know, small world. And because of trains, if you could figure one out.
Well, it's pretty fascinating that trains have been a running theme with like several generations of my family and people around me. My stepfather for my father-in-law, who really have no connection with. The moment he lives in the Bay Area, I found out he was a train fanatic, and I took him to the train museum here at Griffith Park.
Travel Town.
Not Travel Town, the one next door, the one where
the big miniatures.
Yes.
The Los Angeles Live Steamers. Yeah.
That place is cool.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. These guys are dedicated.
I don't know if you're familiar with Huell Hauser. He's a TV personality from back in the day, but I showed him that episode that Huell Hauser, and for those that don't know, Huell Hauser he's quite a personality. And like the culture, the train culture is fascinating.
Well, Southern California had a couple of really great railroads and a lot of, everything, so much ended here on the West Coast. The Great Eastern Railroads, the Union Pacific, the Santa Fe, of course, the Southern Pacific, all had their terminus in Southern California. And so it's always been a big railroad town.
Yeah, my grandfather, growing up, a typical latchkey kid, in the 80s, I would go stay with him and stuff like that. But his whole basement was a model railroad set. The smaller one, I think, is that the CO style?
Well, it could have been probably HO.
HO.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and he had like a whole town and set up, and it was wonderful. But it also for me, it made me love everything to be to scale and everything. And as a kid, my toys couldn't be different scales. Like everything had to be the same scale, but I loved it. And then of course we would go to train museums and, travel with him and everything like that. And it was a lot of fun. So yeah, trains are part of Americana at this point,
Yes, still a big part of my life. I'm a rail modeler and a kind of historian. I've written several articles about trains and things like that. And so,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
That's fascinating.
I know.
Wow.
It's just it's a hobby of mine that stayed with me ever since I was a little kid. I had a grandfather who worked over 50 years for the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe, and his father, my great grandfather, worked for the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe, and the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy.
Wow.
And so it's been part of the family.
Oh, so you have family ties to Santa Fe then, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And
no pun intended.
I didn't mean that.
Oh no, but no. Hey, even I worked for the railroad, working my way through college.
Okay.
Really?
I did. I was a diesel locomotive fireman. I worked
What?
I worked in engine service in the '60s and sat in the locomotive and waved at kids at the crossings. Yeah,
That is
seriously.
so
Awesome.
cool.
I know. I had to get it out of my system, and I haven't entirely, obviously.
Wow. I have a good friend who's he lives in Texas and he only travels by train. He only
Oh,
travels by train. So he'll come out here to Los Angeles and then he'll take the train out to Chicago to visit his son. And he's just a train nut, and I am fascinated with that culture. I think it's beautiful. I think it's I love to see the generations that it connects, because you see like older gentlemen like yourself, and then you see little guys, guys and girls that are just like picking up a train. Next thing you know, they make this connection. It's a great way to link, generations.
They start with Thomas the Tank Engine and things like that, and and it goes. And it's a great hobby. I mean, there's so many things that are part of it. Detailing things, scenery, electronics,
Right.
bench work, track work. I mean, there's so much going on that it's a great painting. Construction. So there's a lot of things for people to do, and yeah, it's a great hobby. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, it's better than sitting in front of TV and playing video games all day, for some kids.
For me, yes. I don't. Yeah, exactly. And manual dexterity needed to put things together and touch things and get things working, and the electronics of things, as opposed to being kind of a passive observer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I got to ask you, do you have any favorite train movies?
Well, as a matter of fact, one of my favorites to this day is Von Ryan's Express, which was Frank Sinatra, wartime.
Oh, cool.
And of course in which they're fighting the Nazis, right?
Right.
And Sinatra, Von Ryan's Express is a favorite, and I'm a favorite of one that was made in the '50s called The Great Locomotive Chase.
Yeah, I know that one. Yep.
Which was a Disney film with Fess Parker, among others, and it depicted an actual event in the Civil War, where the Union Army captured a locomotive from the Confederates and tried to shut down a Confederate supply line. All of them were caught, hung, and but it's they took a famous locomotive called the General, which is, I think, still preserved somewhere in the South.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know. That's all. That was always fun. And then of course there's trains in the background. Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train.
Oh yeah.
Which is marvelous, crazy, wonderful film, and then a lot of views on the 20th Century Limited in North by Northwest.
Right.
The New York 20th Century Limited. Would he? Yeah. So there's a lot of great things on train.
Oh my gosh.
I always like the train scene in White Christmas where they're singing Snow and everything as they're taking the train down.
Oh yeah.
I still need to show my son White Christmas, but I also I'm going to be showing him Silver Streak soon. So that is one of my favorite train movies.
Yes, yes, yes. I believe it or not, I've never been in a film with a train.
I was gonna say, yeah, right.
Never, but would always. I don't know. It's just I probably wouldn't enjoy it that much because I'd be too busy trying to say my lines and not getting hurt.
Probably. Well,
rather than enjoying the train for the train itself.
yeah, you want to appreciate it. You don't want to have it, don't want to be distracted by it. So,
I gotta talk to Kat. She's not here. She's right behind you.
it's a rough segue. I guess you could call it a train wreck, but some people love it as a cult movie. Ask you a little bit about Cool as Ice, because Cool as Ice will be celebrating its 35th anniversary in 2026, which is mind-blowing as well. It's considered definitely a cult classic, I think, because people just love the absurdity of it. But any recollections on making Cool as Ice with Vanilla Ice?
Yes, I will tell you this. I don't know whether it'll surprise you or not. It's not. There's nothing. Nothing crazy that went on. No blow-ups on screen. I was a little worried because I thought, here's a young guy. I've been doing this a long time, and here's a young guy who's at the top of his game in terms of popularity,
right,
and income, and I thought, what's it going to be like? He was a very nice guy, very humble. He didn't pretend to know everything. There are a lot of, like any business, there are a lot of jerks out there. There are a lot of wonderful people, and there are a lot of complete idiots.
Right.
And people talk about some actors being jerks, and there are some. And nothing hates working with a jerk more than another actor who has to be on the set with them, putting up with their nonsense. So he was a great guy. Everybody was just very professional and did their job. And I haven't watched that in years. I probably should rent it again. I know you talk about its absurdity, and I haven't watched it in so long. I forget what it's like. People, it's off of the butt of people's jokes. I think I don't know because I haven't seen it enough to know how big a joke it could be. You'd be surprised how many people ask me about it. They come up to me at an autograph show or something and say, "Do you have anything from Cool as Ice?" It's like,
right.
Or they have me sign their DVD or yeah.
I mean, that's the point I guess I'm trying to make is that, I had Corey watch it the other day for the first time.
First time watch.
And it's, we talk about on our shows that nostalgia is one hell of a drug. And there's this idea of some things stay the test of time. Some things in your mind stay the test of time. And then you watch them again and go, well, yeah, maybe that wasn't as good as I remember it to be. It's a fun film. It's so wacky and all, I think.
Don't make me go see it. Don't make me go see it.
We're doing a screening here in Santa Monica now.
I was sitting there trying to explain the plot to my wife as she's like getting home from work and everything. I'm like, you wouldn't believe what happened here and then this and that. And I was like, but at the end of it, I was like, I don't think like Vanilla Ice was a bad actor in it. Like the movie kind of makes him a bit cliche and everything, but I kind of just wish the movie gave him a bit more to do because I was like, he wasn't bad in it. Yeah, of course you crushed your part.
I'm sure I did. I don't remember. When I see things, I usually think, gee, I'm a lot worse than I thought I'd be. It felt better than this. I don't look nearly as good as I thought I'd look, or I would have done something else differently. But I did look at a few scenes from that a couple of years ago, and truly I didn't think I was embarrassing. Because that can happen.
Right.
You look at things and say, what was I thinking? The one problem I had with that, if it was a problem at all, and this was very small thing. I recall at the time, the director had done a lot of music videos.
Yes.
And I forget his name. No fault of his. I mean, I'm bad with names anyway.
Yeah.
But and that was so long ago. But I thought, gee, I wish sometimes he'd just keep the camera still and trust what the actors were doing, as opposed to I've got to move it, I've got to move it, I've got to keep cutting to this and this.
Right.
And so I remember a lot of inherent movement where I thought there's sometimes we could just have some stillness and listen. And my scenes were more appropriate for that sort of thing. You know, the confrontations with the kid and our daughter and trying to, you know, figure things out. And
Right.
who was this weird guy on a bicycle showing up to date my daughter? You know, what was sniffing around our women? You know, so
Rebel without a cause, you
yeah,
know,
exactly. Yeah,
elements of it for sure. And David Kellogg, by the way, was the director of
oh,
Cool as
yes,
Ice.
yes. And he was a lovely guy. He was a
Yeah,
lovely guy. Just there are sometimes I like moments of stillness in a film.
Well, it's very much of its time. Corey, would you agree? Like it's
Oh,
it's a
absolutely.
1991. We're being very experimental. We're trying new things, but within the scope of this music video-esque type film, you're trying to tell a compelling story as well. And you have your character's multi-layered because there's a lot going on, you know, and I appreciate that.
I definitely didn't see that coming. I thought that this was going to be more of a straightforward, the dad's not like into the boyfriend type of thing, but all of a sudden you having this like backstory and everything. I was like, oh, okay, this is fun.
So
Okay.
I love that though.
I was like, we're going there. Okay. Yeah, it's
the
definitely
dangerous,
a fun movie.
dark places.
Yeah. But like kind of going to the family tie stuff, like the legacy of being America's favorite dad and everything. We growing up in the 80s, Zach and I, like latchkey kids, a lot of times, my parents were divorced. My mom was maybe out working or something like that. Like for a lot of people, you were their dad, so was Cosby too. But we had to kind of get our father figures from outside. And, to this day, Stephen Keaton is such a great way to just a great father figure to impart wisdom on the kids and everything like that. And it holds up to this day, I think.
I'm so glad to hear that. And to be honest with you, it's not the first time. And people used to say to me, even back in the day, why do you guys think you're so popular? And I always thought we were popular in sort of an inverse relationship to how badly American families were actually doing. People were looking for an intact American family where people were very different, and yet nobody was made to, leave the table or go to bed angry and all that. So they were closely knit despite their differences. And you talk about what a thing that was in the 80s and how I wish there was more of that, in the same way as the people of Perfection, Nevada were able to work together and set aside their crazy differences to say, look, we have a common enemy. Let's work. As opposed to, no, you go to your corner and I'll go to mine and we're never going to talk to each other. Nothing gets done that way, as you can see.
Right.
And, but those were the days. The 80s were the days when there were two. We were one of Ronald Reagan's famous shows. I'm glad this didn't happen, but he was almost a guest on our show. And I'm glad it didn't happen because I guess he had some other things to do at the time. But he was, after all, president. And,
yeah, jelly beans to eat.
Yeah, you stole my joke.
He was busy. Yeah, right. I'm glad he didn't come on because whenever it seems so unlikely. I mean, we were a nice family in Columbus, Ohio, and what are the chances the president of the United States is going to show up in their living room? It makes no sense. And I always think people drag on celebrities or people from other walks of life when their show is in trouble. And so it needs help with the ratings. And so I was glad that never happened, but was thrilled that it was, he pretty much said, his favorite show. So those were times when Reagan, the arch conservative, and Tip O'Neill from Massachusetts, two Irishmen, could sit down. The very liberal Tip O'Neill could sit down in the Oval Office or in the White House in the residence and toss back a little Irish whiskey and find a compromise. Two
Yeah.
guys who did not believe in each other's positions, but who believed the other guy was a good guy who just believed other things. They were
Right.
not enemies. They were not scum. They were not the enemy. They were not evil. They just believed other things, but they all believed in America. So could we get back to that time? It would be wonderful.
It would be
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. And we talked to Scott Valentine a couple years ago, and another thing that show did for me as an artist kind of also showed me to just be me, embrace my artist and everything. So there were so many. It's just so, growing up with that show, you're like, oh, I loved it, but you look back on it, you're like, no, it wasn't just love. It was important to your growth and everything. So I just want to say thank you for helping me grow as a man and as a kid and everything.
I had good writers, better than I had at home, which is why my kids. I remember my kids looking at me and saying, "Why can't you be as nice as that guy on television?"
Well,
You're more, why are you so? My wife used to call me Captain Von Trapp. You gotta have a whistle around your neck. Say, okay, kids, time to wash the dishes. You weren't as nice as that guy on television. So I guess I learned a few things from him too. What issues to tackle, what wars were worth fighting and what weren't, what battles were worth fighting and what weren't.
What to let go. Yeah.
Can't fight every battle; it'll just exhaust you. Your mention of Nick, the character played by Scott Valentine, was really fun for me because thank God he came along.
Nick Moore, I'd like to meet my parents, Elise and Stephen Keaton.
Nice to meet you, Nick. It's a pleasure having you here.
Hey.
I'm alive. Or is this heaven?
Hey.
I guess not.
One of the things I used to complain about in the first couple of years of Family Ties is I was so damn nice. Nobody was that nice. I just thought there's some things I totally disagreed with, but I did it because I wasn't the boss. They would decide for me. I can remember several episodes where I thought I got to be tougher here.
Yeah.
I got to be tougher. And it's like, no, you're nice. You're a wonderful guy. You're wonderful. Nick, the introduction of Nick gave me someone to hate, to dislike, for whom I have no approval whatsoever. And it was a beautiful introduction because we could have that comic anger, that the guy who you never want your daughter to be with this guy, and it created a great conflict in the Stephen Keaton character because I loathed him, but I had to be nice because my daughter loved him. And so I was always at war with myself. Do I sock this kid or do I let him be a part of the family because it means so much to my daughter? So it created an internal conflict in the character, which he had not faced before and which really opened up doors for me. It was a wonderful asset to the show and to my character.
On the other side of the screen, someone watching it as a young kid, it also showed us, that, people can have multifacets to them, like, your character and everything, but also how to deal with something that you don't completely approve of without punching the wall, which is what I would see from maybe my father, so I could see from your character a different way of handling conflict. Again, how important that show was to like growing up and everything like that, to see these other options that we had as men to deal with conflict.
Yeah, there are, they had great ways of doing it too. I remember one episode where the kids had done something horrible. I forget what it was. They had turned the house into a hotel, or there was a kangaroo in the living room, or some nonsense. And Alex said, Alex said, Dad, do you plan never to talk to us again? And Stephen just looked at him and said, "That is my plan, yes." You know? Yes, I intend never to talk to you again. You know? And he was going to get over it. But in that moment, he was like, just, oh, God. What I have to put up with as a father sometimes is just god awful.
Well, I can tell you as someone I was a kindergarten teacher for 15 years and before I became a parent. And I always joke that it prepared me for fatherhood. And maybe, and there were times, where people go, "Oh, didn't you just love all your kids?" And I go, "No, I did not."
So it's different. You can't love, you have to just, sometimes it's endurance.
But you have to turn on that switch of like, okay, I'm not going to take out my feelings on you.
Yeah. You have to. It's about diplomacy. Quite frankly, it's what makes countries not go to war.
Right.
Is saying, how can we hammer out a compromise here? How can you be happy and I be happy?
Right.
How can we both win something here to go back to our constituents and say we did okay today and we're not at war?
And save that wall, like Corey just mentioned. So from getting a whole
exactly. Nobody wants to do sheetrock if you don't have to.
Ira Hayden is a friend of the show. Ira Hayden met you at the recent convention you were at, I believe in Seattle. And
I was just up there last weekend.
Yeah, he said he spoke to you about Citizen Keaton, an episode that he was on with you.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he was a very nice guy, and I hadn't seen him in years, and he introduced himself to me.
I'm glad that Ira made the connection with you, and you guys were able to talk a little bit about that episode. Let's get some questions from our listeners and fans. Paulette, in regards to Family Ties, has a question for you. If you can talk about that Rolodex of going back in time. Is there an episode of Family Ties that stands out, or one of your favorite episodes, or one of the more memorable ones for you?
Look, they tackled an awful lot of wonderful elements in this thing, real issues with comedy. But I'm going to remember something that was completely off the wall. It was, I always loved, people would say, Michael Gross is not a serious father. Sometimes he's like a kid. I enjoyed those moments. I enjoyed the moments when I'd go off on a complete tangent. There was, I remember an episode in which there was kind of it was stupid. I know it was, where Jennifer was learning how to drive. And so I said, look, I'm going to give you a driving lesson. We're going to set up 4 chairs in the kitchen, and we're going to make a pretend car, and it's like, so I'm going to test her driving skills. 4 chairs, myself, Jennifer, Tina others, Justine Bateman, and Meredith were in the cars, and so we start.
The Keaton Driving School is now in session. We are going to simulate a driving lesson right here in the kitchen. Okay, everybody in the car. Now pull carefully into the street, checking both ways for traffic. Stop!
And Stephen just gets into these things. And so we start rolling, the car, and I'm sort of jiggling like this, and we start inventing mime doors, and it's like, whoa, you stopped too fast. I mean, it was ridiculous. We were miming the entire thing, and it just became a comic scene about miming a car, and miming a driving lesson. I think it was in the 7th and last season, and it was just pure tomfoolery, which I love, just goofy, wonderful, silly, physical comedy. I'm a very shallow person, right? Nothing. There was no issue at stake here. It was just visual comedy of people being silly. That's one of my favorite things. And I think it was called The Driving Lesson or something, or but Tina was learning to drive. And I think it's somewhere in the seventh season.
I have to get over the fact that, or at least announce the fact that you and Meredith share a birthday, June 21st. And that always blew my mind.
And the same year as well.
What's going on?
We just go, I know. It was kind of interesting. I remember saying to her, well, we may not like each other, but we'll understand each other. But we did turn out to like each other quite a lot.
You sure did.
Meredith and I have paired a number of times going on short tours, out of town tours to do a two-hander play called Love Letters.
Oh, cool.
And we've toured that a little bit here and there. And we've also done, we did not do it this year, but for the past 3 years, we've gone out and done a benefit for a theater in Santa Fe, New Mexico, the New Mexico Actors Lab. 3 years running, we did benefits for them in order to help them get through after COVID, because the guy who runs it, believe it or not, I mean, it's a small world, was a teacher of mine back at the Yale School of Drama.
Oh, cool.
Back at university over 50 years ago. So he's now in his 80s and running a theater in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and
Wow.
Small world. So I convinced Meredith, come on out. We won't get paid, but they'll take care of your transportation and stuff like this, and I'll feed you. My wife and I have a vacation home in Santa Fe, which is how I got to know George Martin, among other things.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. So we brought her up there, and I put her up at our place, and I'll say, I will feed you. They will get you out here, and we'll just donate your time. So she was very sweet about doing that three years in a row. We did 3 different plays.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, nothing beats a home cooked meal, I got to tell you. So, unless it's In-N-Out Burger, but so Levi, a good friend Levi of the show, and he's like, what question could I ask Michael that I've never asked him?
He's a big promoter, God knows.
Yeah, he wants to, and this segues into what you're just talking about with Meredith. What's your wildest memory from doing a stage play, or do you have a crazy memory from doing a stage play?
Well, oh boy, this is one of my favorite things. Live stage play in the 90s here in Los Angeles. And I was with a wonderful, look him up, John McMartin was his name, wonderful stage actor who for years did Broadway, off-Broadway, mostly Broadway, big Broadway musicals and things like that. He's, oh my God, he's a wonderful actor. Oh, what did I see? I saw a film he was in which he was a comic genius. It took place in an elevator. He was petrified. He went crazy in an elevator because he was claustrophobic.
Oh,
and it was one of the
gosh.
funny things I've ever seen in a movie. But anyway, he did a lot of Broadway as well. His name was John McMartin. And I think he was in the original Showboat and things like that, and did a lot of Broadway revivals. Wonderful. And he's since passed away.
Mhm.
But John was playing, there were 3 or 4 couples in this thing. It was a show called Money and Friends. And it was about people and couples and money and what breaks relationships and what keeps them together. And he played a much older, rich man who had a much younger wife. And the other male characters were asking, well, how did you get this younger woman? And he said, well, it's money, frankly. It's money. He says, money is like, income is like, and this gesture, he said, it's like the tail feathers of a peacock. He says, money is like the tail feathers of a peacock. It attracts the women. And every night he would come to that. We did this for months. And he'd come to that and he'd say, it's like the tail feathers of the peacock. And there was a little hesitation there. And one night he came to that line and he did the gesture. And you see, he had gone completely blank. And he said, it's like the tail cock of the peeper. And we all looked at each other and went, what the hell did he just say? The tail feathers of the peacock became the tail cock of the peeper. And he looked at us live on stage as if to say, what the hell did I just say? And several actors they were laughing so hard they had to turn up stage and, back turned to the audience.
Yeah.
And we just went, what was that? It was just like something, and he never did it again.
Of course. Yeah.
Of course.
And I was not there, but I love just crazy ad libs in the middle of things. And there was another actor I knew, Joe Mahar, who was doing, a funny Englishman who's again since passed away, he was doing Julius Caesar somewhere. And just as he was one of the senators stabbing Julius Caesar in the middle, and Caesar's going down, being stabbed by the senators, and a telephone rings off stage audibly to the actors.
Oh no!
And to the audience, ringing off stage, and Joe Mahar is stabbing with the other senators, and without hesitating, he whispers to the other senators, "What if it's for Caesar?" Phone call. And of course, all the senators start laughing. All 30 togas start laughing. So it's moments in live theater like that which are just insane, that are just a great deal of fun. Now, of course, in film that doesn't happen. When you F up, they say, stop the cameras, let's do it again.
Right.
Yeah. That's amazing. Oh my God. I literally have tears coming out of my eyes. A friend of ours of the show, Cam Sully, he had two questions and you actually just answered that one about the stage play memories as well. But do you have any fun audition memories? Maybe something pre, Family Ties, any interesting audition memories?
Well, I will tell you the memory of the audition for Tremors is remarkable in that I remember it entirely different from everyone else in the room.
Oh, interesting.
To this day, the director and I quarrel about who's right and who's wrong. He says that when they asked me to play Burt Gummer, at one point of course I had this imaginary gun, but I jumped up on his desk in the audition room, jumped up on his desk and to get a better view at the ground, as if I were on a roof or something, to get a beat on this monster. And I'm yelling and on his desk and just going crazy. And I said, I don't remember that at all. I did not. I would not have jumped on your desk. He said, you did. I said, I didn't. I don't recall this. That I said I would have been probably too respectful or something to jump on your desk in your office.
Right.
And, oh, no, you did. You did. And I said, you sure that wasn't another actor? He said, no, that was you. I don't remember it to this day.
It seems like a very Burt Gummer thing to do. So maybe you were just overcome by the soul of Burt Gummer for that one moment.
It's very possible, but I don't recall it. So I was channeling Burt.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm going to say, for the craziness of the story, it's true, but it didn't happen. I'm going to say it did happen, but it didn't in a parallel universe. That way you don't. Yeah. That way you're not responsible and you don't get in trouble for anything.
Reality is malleable, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's true. It's all over.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
And with AI, it's going to become even more. So.
Oh my God, yeah. So that's our next question. It's about AI. No, I'm kidding. Angie Losner asks, what was it like working with Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin in Big Business back in the day?
I've been doing a lot of thinking. We can fix this.
What is this?
Open it.
Oh, you're sly.
Sly, I don't know what you're talking about. I couldn't be more sincere.
Please, another bribe.
If you don't want this, what do you want?
If you think you can buy me off with this.
Look, honey.
Don't you touch me and don't you call me honey, you no good belly scraping pile of cow plop. What's a cow plop, honey?
Obviously, you're still upset.
You can't outsnake me.
Well, both lovely ladies. Bette Midler and Lily were just great, and I when I first met Bette, I had a friend with whom I'd gone to drama school who was also in the film, a wonderful character actor named Joe Grafazzi, who was a bellman. He worked at the desk at the Plaza Hotel where the women kept coming in and out, and there was so much confusion. He worked at the desk. And Joe had done several scenes with Bette already, and I was being introduced to her. And Joe said, Bette, I want you to meet my friend Michael Gross. I knew him when he had a reason to be parsimonious, and so he's calling me cheap, Joe, and that was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And I said, don't listen to a word he says.
Right.
But that was his introduction.
That's hilarious.
It was very nice and very sweet. And of course, I worked more with Lily, and just a real pro. And of course, I worked with her to a degree on Grace and Frankie.
Right.
I did about 4 episodes of that, and somebody called me, weeks ago and said, I saw it for the first time. You're such a good gay man. And I said, yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I remember the first time I did that, I'd come right off of Tremors 5, and I said, I need to cleanse my palate with an homosexual. I've just done this bad guy, so they asked me to come, and would I do this gay, I don't know, wedding planner or something like that on Grace and Frankie? And I said, sure, why not? Yeah.
Yeah, come on, acting.
Yeah. I'll pretend anything you want me to do.
Right. Oh my God, we have
years.
we have a friend of the show named Ty. He's a big action guy, and he has a question. He wanted to know what it was like making the movie Counterfeit with Mark-Paul Gosselaar and Hilary Swank. Do you remember making Counterfeit?
Is that the movie that you were trying to remember the other day?
No. I did a horror film with Hilary Swank, but I don't remember Counterfeit. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, it's okay.
A very small, tiny role or something. I'm sorry. What was your friend's name?
Ty. Yes.
I am so sorry. I don't recall this. I remember very well working with Hilary.
Well, how about that?
I mean,
this was 1996, so it's a little ways back.
Oh yeah, the drugs. That was my big. Oh no. Or was it the alcohol? I don't recall. I remember the title, but I don't remember any of the. I don't remember any of the film. I remember. I think it was probably because I was only there a couple days or something.
Probably, yeah.
On the other hand, Hilary and I worked together. She played my daughter in Sometimes They Come Back.
Yeah, I love that movie.
And Hilary was wonderful. I mean, she was just an absolute doll, and just a big joker. And she couldn't have been nicer. We had a lot of fun. And I haven't seen her since that, and I'm sorry. It was one of those things we didn't keep in touch, but I just loved her immensely. And so we did that, and that was Devils and all that sort of Satan himself, and
well, another cult classic. Honestly, people love it. I mean, it's a great movie. People love it. It's got quite a cult following these days.
Right.
Yes, I guess so. Nobody ever asked me about it. It's funny. The people who come to these horror shows never bring that up. Instead, they bring up Cool as Ice. But
I mean, look.
So I'm sorry, I don't recall Counterfeit. What was at stake? The character I played. I remember the title. So again, I should look it up.
Well, that's what happens when you've got quite a few roles under your belt and quite a few years in the business. So,
you know what? And again, if I'm just in for a day or two, I kind of like,
right.
I don't recall the details. What I think of when you mentioned Ty is Ty Burrell, the actor, where we had a good time a number of years together playing together in a Shakespeare play on Broadway.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
What was the play?
it was titled The Scottish Play.
Oh,
And
well.
yes, it was the Scottish play, so I dare not mention it.
Yeah.
Mention the name. But he and I were had a great deal of fun off stage as we both stood there waiting to enter. We often were together on stage, and we had a lot of hijinks backstage and silliness.
Oh, that's great.
So I was glad to see Ty hit it big with the series.
He was, I think, I'm up here in Eugene, Oregon, and I think he was just here for the U of O game last weekend or something like that. So it's kind of.
Oh, does he play football as well?
Well,
he's a linebacker too.
Yeah, actually, yeah, of course.
Talented linebacker.
Yeah. Man of many talents.
Tight end. Yeah.
We have another mutual friend in Glenn Maddock. He's very responsible with all the goings on in the Tremor community.
Glenn, he really has stepped up to the plate to help keep it alive in some ways and keep track of it all.
He was the first one we met going into Pasadena Comic-Con, and he had a giant graboid prop with him, and he was bringing it in, and we all walked together, and Corey and I mentioned, oh, we're going to be doing a Tremors panel. He's like, oh, well, I'm responsible for that. And I go, wait, like, are you Glenn? He's like, yeah, hey.
We
nice
literally met on the street, just,
Yeah, right,
it was really funny.
I noticed you because of the graboid. Is that a graboid? Are you glad to see me?
Hey, I'm telling you, that line is gold in any bar. Well, actually, no, not in 2025. So,
is that a tentacle in your pocket?
Excuse me, madam. Was that a Scottish play or a tentacle? Do you have any holiday traditions or like Christmas traditions?
Yeah, we as a matter of fact, we do. We watch for 20 years. We have watched a Jack Benny Christmas special.
Really?
Filmed in the 1950s. It's available on. It's a Jack Benny Christmas special with just Jack is trying. The character he played had a reputation for being very cheap, parsimonious, like that man who met Bette Midler all those years ago, and
Right.
so it's a lot about him trying to get a good price for something. The entire thing takes place at a department store. Mel Blanc is in it.
Oh, wow.
Mel Blanc plays a marvelous comic role in it. Mel Blanc was very much a part of the Jack Benny cast of players. He appeared time and again, so Mel Blanc is in it, and just a great many characters who. It's so funny. It's a half-hour show. We sit down as a family and watch it. This Jack Benny Christmas special, the way other people watch, Going My Way or, It's a Wonderful Life. We watch it every year. Everybody in the family has copies of it. So whatever house we're at, we can see it.
That's wonderful.
I love that. Great, innocent comedy and just stupid, wonderful jokes. There's a wonderful actor named Frank Nelson in it who was always, every time Jack would ask him something, he'd turn around and say, yes. He's that character actor, Frank Nelson. And Frank Nelson has we laugh at the same old stupid jokes. He's a floor walker and he's got a flower in his lapel, in his suit lapel. And Jack says, oh, excuse me. He goes, yes. Says, are you the floor walker? He says, well, what do you think I am with this carnation in my lapel? A float in the rose parade? Just stupid jokes like that, and we just love it. It's completely goofy and innocent and, innocent, crazy fun.
I love that. That's so wonderful to hear. We need more of that in this world. I think our world would be a better place if we laughed a little bit at each other's follies in a gentle way, And
I love the fact that we have, my wife and I have introduced Jack Benny to our grandchildren. So they know Carry On to carry on the tradition of this great comic actor into their generation.
Well,
They hopefully be showing it to their children.
It's a beautiful thing. You know, Corey does it with his nephew, introducing movies to him that he's maybe never seen from our generation. But my son, who's 11, you know, I write lunch notes to him. I've been doing it for him since he was in preschool, and I've never missed a day. I'm over 1,500 notes. And these are, Corey can attest to this, they're very highly detailed notes with illustrations, and there's a moral message in there. And I've been doing it for literally 1,500 notes. And I put pop culture characters from our generation, his generation, and Ernest Jim Varney pops up all the time in these notes and has some sort of moral message to deliver, and it's very detailed. Corey can attest to that. They're over the top. People have said to me, they're like, "How much time does it take you to draw this picture?"
Good.
Yeah,
very good. Are they? How long are they? Are they on little Post-its or bigger, longer than that? Are they 10 pages?
Yeah, they're actually detailed pages. So I don't know if you could see this, but it's like a.
That's a lot.
Oh, is that the good Tron one, buddy?
Yeah. So you know, I do these notes for my son, and then I have some sort of crazy message in there, and
well, I would ask you to get a life, but you already have, and you've given it to your son.
Well, you know, that's what you
really
do.
Generous of you.
I try. My wife says you're giving our son the best childhood that he could ever have. So I appreciate that.
Pretty neat, Zach. Pretty neat.
Anyways,
I'm going to recommend one other thing. You want a great Christmas film? I mentioned the Jack Benny Christmas special.
Yeah.
Christmas in Connecticut.
Oh yeah, I know that movie.
Yeah.
Barbara Stanwyck plays a marvelous comic role in this. This is the same woman in Double Indemnity.
Yeah. Right.
This is Barbara Stanwyck at her comic best. I've always been a favorite of hers. Christmas in Connecticut. It's one of those things you don't see all the time. Not as popular as a lot of other things. It's great comedy and with a great heart. So think about that.
Maybe I'll swap out White Christmas this year and put that one on instead. So
Christmas in Connecticut.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
you.
And I'm so glad Glenn asked that question because, you know, that's the beautiful thing about our show is obviously we want to bring up things that maybe haven't been discussed before, but we've got these great fans and listeners and friends who come up with these great questions too. So
I'll also recommend The Bishop's Wife. Do you know The Bishop's Wife?
Is that with
David Niven, Cary Grant?
Yes.
Loretta Young. Marvelous. Cary Grant plays an angel.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They remade it. Was not very good. But the original film.
Hard to top.
Yeah.
The Bishop's Wife, just marvelous. So I watch a couple of these other things that don't get, have the following that some of the others do. But I hope they get a bigger following constantly because they're lovely films.
Oh, I love that.
Nice.
Michael, thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you for taking the time. Seriously, this is awesome.
Keep being the wonderful human being that you are. We really appreciate it.
Well, it's always a challenge, but I do my best.
Doing pretty damn good. Take care.
Thank you much.
Bye-bye.
Oh, listen, I just wanted to say goodbye and remind you that the good guys always win, even in the 80s.